Hey Jeff, how's it going?
Hey, Danny. I was just checking the calendar to make sure I didn't miss a cancellation notice, which is very possible.
No, I'm kind of running a little bit behind today. Let me see. I've got a couple things. We'll see how many people we get calling in. Um, but I do have Kevin coming in here at the half hour mark to kind of get us set up on a GitHub thing.
Oh,
And
okay, good.
yeah, and then I pulled up, so they couldn't make it right at 10, but I was like, you know what? And I was like, it kind of gave them the names of who to get access to and all that. And then I was like, do you have like a little training doc or something? A lot of us are newbies, especially me. And he's like, no, but he's going to send something. And then I basically said, yeah, see if you can come in. So they're going to come in at the half hour. And then I figured until then, there was a couple things. See if I can find the right one. And I was going to ask you guys. Here we go. So there's a couple of and you may know because you got the most experience of all of us. Like there's sort of like two routes we could go, it seems like, right? We could do this like white paper thing, or we just go straight to like a spec, right? Um, and I don't know, like in your take, like for this work, what do you think is appropriate or.
Uh yeah, that's a
Because spec is, I think spec, we kind of been talking on that because that's sort of like you want to have this kind of like to be OCP compliant, right? You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, yeah, I'm trying, it's it's a we're kind of in the middle here, right?
Seems
I
like it.
think it probably is a spec because I think as you said, I think that's what we want is kind of we want some teeth to say mandate of, hey, if you're this is a stamp of approval kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
this is stuff that we need you to do. It's not just a, hey, how do you do it?
Right.
Um, and the thing that I struggle with on the spec side is it's we're not inventing, right? We're choosing, and it's like, so report this data, do it one of these ways. So I
Right.
think it's like it's still, I think we could still say that's certainly a spec, right? Because it's still going to put down some requirements and say, there are, you must, chapter one, you must supply power data, and using one of the supported methods, and the supported methods are as follows.
Right.
And then give the rest of the stuff. So I think specification is probably the right thing. uh it's it's going to look different, I think, than a lot of the other OCP specifications, right? But that's
Yeah, it might
okay.
just be, yeah, simpler to start with for sure. And that's
Yeah.
fine. Simple is always good.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, it's going to be, you're not going to see a lot of, there's not going to be a lot of pictures of protocols and stuff, right? It's
Right.
not, we're not specking out a new protocol for doing any of this. It's
Right.
it's the pick one of these, and this is, we're setting out requirements for what data you're actually getting,
Got it.
and how it gets represented, right? So.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
But you've
That's
got
cool.
this under the okay. But you've got this under. Are you're just shooting using this as a sample because this is the carbon modeling?
So that's the other thing too. I was like, well, let me I wanted to be both consistent and then not reinvent the wheel. And this was, it might be a little dated. I think this is when Scott was still running the carbon modeling. Deborah took it over. So I don't know if they've made changes yet. But oh, there's Deb actually right there. But I was thinking of, reusing a little bit of the
Oh
language.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Reuse it and grab the template, and yeah, yeah. I just want
Yep.
to make sure we weren't. I just make sure I was on the right. We were on
In
the
the
right. We're talking.
right.
Yeah,
No, exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, oh, and there's her right there. Hey Deb, how's it going?
Hello. Good.
Hey.
Hey, Deb.
Good job.
So it's just mentioning that in about 23 minutes or so, Kevin's going to join and walk us through.
Yeah, I saw
So
that email.
that'll
I'm
be helpful.
anxiously looking forward to.
Yeah, because you're in the same boat, right? It's just like, um,
Exactly.
and then we were looking through. I think that you had sent this over, right? This was from Scott. I was looking to reuse this.
No, I wrote it.
Oh, you did. Okay,
Yeah,
got it. Got it. Okay, I know Scott did push something. Was that in a different white paper or?
he took what I wrote and presented it.
Okay, so you actually wrote all this stuff and then he had rolled it out and then, okay, got it.
Well, when you get down to that hard drive portion, Shruti was a big contributor to that
Okay, cool.
portion. Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah,
folks.
I just
I
thought,
also
Hello.
just joined.
oh, hey Shruti, how's it going?
Good. How are you folks doing?
Pretty good. We're just kind of buying a little time waiting for Kevin. They're gonna hopefully get us set up with this Git repository stuff at the half-hour mark here.
The thing is, I would say not to start with our paper, Danny, but to just start with the blank template, which I think I sent you.
Yeah, I
A
have
pointer
this
to-
one so far as a spec.
Yeah, exactly.
This one is
okay.
a base spec. And that's what I'll ask Kevin, like, okay, this is sitting on some Google Doc somewhere, right? Like, how do we put this to the GitHub and everything? But I was looking to reuse and stay conforming with a lot of the sustainability stuff that you have up front here. I think
Okay.
I'm like, yep, I want to grab this stuff and move it over once we know where to put it to. And then I think we'll have a lot of the same kind of sections here. Okay.
Yeah. Format wise, though, you are going for a base spec and Deb's, the paper Deb sent, that is a white paper. So format wise, it's going to be different. They are two different templates on OCP side.
Right. You probably want are you doing a spec or a white paper, Danny?
That's what Jeff
Just
and I were
talking.
just talking about. We're leaning to spec. It may be simple, but we really want this to be a spec because we don't want it to be sort of like, well, these are like an inform only kind of thing. We really want this to be, look, all OCP servers or racks or whatever eventually, right? But starting with the compute servers must have this power telemetry. And then that way the DC metrics can count on it as well, right?
I see.
Yeah. But I was thinking of definitely using some of the intro and background stuff that you had in yours so that we're consistent across the work groups. Now let me get some notes up here. So that was most of it. I guess as we wait for Kevin, we probably should think about, I know folks are going to be vacation mode pretty soon. I mean, I'm actually here until the week before Christmas and New Year's, but I just wanted to kind of pull next week we can meet. Are people going to be here on the 21st?
This is officially my last day for the year, but if y'all have a meeting, I can certainly jump on something, but
I won't be calling in on the 21st.
yeah, 21st.
Yeah, I'm also likely not there. 21st.
Got it. So
Or 28th. Yeah.
I was gonna say 21st and the 28th. For sure. I'll cancel.
Not gonna happen.
Yep. So Danny will cancel. Double check how to do that really fast, and then we're back to the. So I'll have it next week for those who can join next week, and then on the 14th, and then 21, 28 cancel, and then we'll be back on January 4th. For those that are back, I know a few might still be out, I think, but I should be back in here. So yeah, okay. So that was the other housekeeping thing. And then let me see what else. It seems like there was one other thing I want to ping you guys on. So we'll go for spec versus white paper. And then those meetings, and then Kevin, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I guess we could scan over this. This is a pretty broad, or this is the template we got. Most of all this is probably going to stay the same up front. And then I'll hit a scope overview. I can take a stab at starting all this. I'm just trying to look here. Environmental, regulatory compliance, and require. I don't know if we're gonna need to have anything in this section. I'm curious if they have like a placeholder here. Please describe an I mean, I guess do we mention the energy efficiency regulatory requirements here, or do you folks think that's kind of too much out of our wheelhouse?
Do we have any environmental requirements during, like, particularly for the measurement, for the power telemetry measurement?
Really, I mean, I work a lot in this area, but they're all system level specs.
Right.
Like EU Lot 9, Energy Star, Japan Top Runner. China has an emerging workload, right? That looks a lot like CERT. And running CERT pretty much always requires a full system and then hooking it up to a power meter, right? So even putting on a CRPS and then testing it that way. So it's really, the telemetry is really all the telemetry they're using is the Yokogawa power meter, right? Or equivalent. I think they maybe have a couple qualified. So there's really no platform telemetry that's leveraged for external specs or for external worldwide energy efficiency requirements that I can think of. It's kind of a tangent kind of a thing.
I would just add that utilization, which we opted to wait on, does have a regulatory requirement on it. So something to keep in mind in the future.
Utilization, you're saying the one for this is the newer one, kind of out of Germany or EU?
Well, right, there is an existing definition of utilization. I can find the number, the document name and number. And then the EED is referencing that. So that the Europe data center reporting is referencing that.
And it's okay, so they have a definition of utils. So I guess this
Well, we talked about this, way when we first met, right? How there's the utilization, which is really understood on the software side, and
Yeah.
then the power, which is understood on the hardware side. And really, it would be good to have a place where both of those things can synchronously be understood. But we decided to punt on that for now.
And you're saying on the software side, you're saying that but utilization is just whether, I mean, do they have like actual percentages or is it just whether it's
Yeah, it's a percent of utilization. So the regulation definition is looking at the like say you're running Linux, looking at the operating system's idle loop and what percent of time you spend in and out of the idle loop. That's their definition of utilization. A lot of other people will have different definitions of it, but that's the official regulatory
interesting.
definition.
And they only require reporting of how much time or percent time you're utilized versus not utilized by that metric, and they don't care about the power levels in idle or the power levels being utilized.
No, they're talking much more at aggregate of a data center, right? A whole data center. So they want to know in aggregate, so across all of your IT equipment, what's your utilization percent? And then in aggregate, what's your power? And then in aggregate, what is your theoretical max power of all your equipment, right? So, what they're trying to do is to get everybody to understand and do annual accounting for this. So that's like step one. And then step two will be, starting to slowly turn the screws, improve, right, on an annual basis.
If a server so the idea too is to increase utilization. That's kind of like their methodology, right? They think there's servers that are kind of stranded in zombies, and that argument still, which is, somewhat understood. Like if a server is put into S5 or even S3, I guess it's offline then, right?
I don't really understand how this works. Is the operating system no longer
S3? It's not, because the CPU is off. S5 definitely everything's off, and then in S3 it's off as well. It's in sleep. Everything is stored out to memory, and then memory's in self-refresh mode.
I've seen also,
Nothing.
like with the EED, right? it's like the EU puts out the regulation and then each geography puts, says, okay, here's how this country is going to enact it. And I have seen you mentioned Germany. I don't know if that's where or if it was elsewhere, where they wanted to enforce like that certain power states are out of the box enabled and indeed are enabled in operation as well. So there is that piece of it. But yeah, I do think that it sounds like some of the sleep states are not well encompassed in their definition of utilization. So I
Mhm.
think that's kind of a hole from their side.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's kind of emerging, but it seems like nothing for us here then. Okay. And then so far as where we link to things like the redfish or the manageability specs, do you think, I wonder, does that go into just appendices or do we mention it kind of in line here? I'm trying to think where we would put that. Other OCP
Yeah,
specs.
Jeff, do you have a experience on what we should do here?
Yeah, I mean, it's all this, how many references do we do, right? It's,
Yeah.
sorry, I've lost.
Checklist price approvals. Yeah, I think we'd want to have the manageability spec. Maybe the DC, what is it, MHS spec, the kind of manageability hardware as well. Is that DC or what's the one that has the actual?
DCM MHS?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
With this, yeah.
I'm sorry, DCSC
SCM.
SCM.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's like that kind of module almost, right? That's like BMC. You must have this and blah blah blah. Okay, so that's sort of the hardware requirements. And then manageability spec is sort of the firmware and redfish and all that must be there. And then beyond that, is there anything else that we need a reference? I think it's just those two. Yeah, I think it's just those two, unless we also want to do sort of the upstream kind of placeholder for the DC metrics sustainability spec. That's probably the only three I can think of. And I don't know.
Currently, we'll have only the DCEM PUE sustainability spec. So is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah,
I'm
I think
not
it's
sure
more
that
the one that's going to replace it. So I know I don't know what the timeline is for that coming out, but we can maybe put a placeholder and then eventually if they come out, we come out at the same time.
You're talking about DCEM's sustainability spec, right? DCEM work stream.
Yes, yeah, the new one, the one that's going to looking to replace PUE or other metrics, I guess.
Right, but I'm just trying to understand why are we referencing a PUE?
Yeah, the reason we'd reference the new DC metrics is that like basically saying that like this is what's required for those calculations that are there, and just kind of saying like that's sort of the stakeholder for this, for the platform telemetry.
Okay, maybe, as we start putting the content together for this, we'll be a little more clear on the references. But yeah, I have a first impression that spec will not directly, show that these particular power measurements are needed, because that talks at a much, much higher level.
Got it.
But yeah, you can check.
Okay. As I scan here too, we haven't talked about security, and that's actually an interesting one. I mean, so right now it's only the data center operator that has knowledge of power. I mean, I can't think of like, but it certainly is like, you know, inferring data from power things has happened, right? There's been security breaches because of things like that. Now, and any kind of telemetry, I guess everybody's always worried about anything they're running. But right now, since we have it all in hardware and with the data center operator, there's no sort of user or other customer. I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything we need to do here or if it's already covered by the other specs like manageability and DCSCM.
Yeah, I mean, the only things I think that we would want to mention, it may be that you know, that to mention that you know, care needs to be taken if you're going to be an application that is gathering all this, you know, to make sure that you're using, you know, following good security practices or best practices, least principles of least privilege and things like that, so that you're not, because if you have access to the power data, depending on the device, you're also using the same interfaces that give you control over some of the power stuff, and so you know, we need to make sure that we're not requiring you know, that kind of access for telemetry. But yeah, in terms of the I don't I don't want to repeat a bunch of stuff, and I also don't want to get us tied into a whole rat's nest of security stuff where, hey, we're just users of this. We're not asking you to go create a new opening for you know, for telemetry to come out of. It's like we're gathering what's there. So should it be gathered over secure links and, you know, with proper security? Absolutely. Do we need to mention that? It's probably needs to be mentioned just so that somebody doesn't say, how, like, you know, like this is a security thing. Yeah, we're not opening new holes here, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Like letting, yeah, and I think we can reference that, you know, we could reference that the hardware specs probably have some mentions of that, staying compliant with the ones already going to mention. Okay, but yeah, I think we'll keep it in there. It'll probably be just like you said, maybe a paragraph and a few links to other things, but that's about it. I can't think of anything else. And Redfish, you said actually like can via Redfish can, I mean, I guess Redfish, you can control things like fan speeds with Redfish. Is that, it's a separate loop, but I mean, that is how the BMC is also controlling it, or is that separate?
Well, for most folks, the fans are being controlled by the BMC, and you know, what you're seeing reported, you know, what you're seeing through Redfish is the reporting of that data. So you know, we have an OEM can certainly go add that. We don't have in the standard you know, don't give you the BMC's you know, fan speed knob. That's inside the box and dealt with by the BMC automatically. And users don't normally have access to that knob.
Right. Got it. Okay.
But you want to see how much, you know, you want to see what percentage the fans are running at. Yeah, you can get that, and you can obviously get the temperatures that are reported that are driving that behavior.
Right. Okay. And really, that's all in phase. I think at that point, that becomes all this sort of phase 2 when we start thinking about APIs, right? If a user wants to get this stuff, what are the APIs? What do we allow it to? And that's really kind of our phase 2. Okay. Mirror that down. Okay. I'm just scrolling around here. Let's see, we got a couple more minutes, hopefully, before they join. Change log scope overview, regulatory, electrical. Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. I'll start once we know how to put it in, I can start putting it there. I was just gonna roll over to this to see if there's anything else that came out of this. Rating, alignment at work, life cycle. Oh, this is quite a bit. External initiatives. I don't think this too much applies to us. Probably have something like that for us. I actually hadn't even read this for a while, so this is kind of cool. Deb, are you guys close to like, are you guys trending in that work group as well to do a spec or like more white papers?
I would prefer to stick on the white paper for now.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do, we can't get anybody to actually reveal information.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do some high level embodied numbers and then apply those to what we've put here. So we can kind of see if this whole framework makes sense, given that there's so much reluctance to share.
Got it.
That's sort of
What
where we are at this point.
what Deb means by review, and if you saw the reviewers' names and got confused, what she means is review it like with a live example, with an actual
Yeah.
component example. Yeah.
Oh,
But
So
we
they
can't.
would have to share.
Well, we can't get any companies to share, so
Yeah.
I'm sort of doing a different methodology to get reasonable numbers. We just want to see how, how things will actually play out. Because if we're asking for way too much information, then we're ever going to get or our grading concepts are off base. Better to know that now rather than to go out with a proposal that's never going to get any traction. So that's what I'm working on now.
okay.
But yeah, I don't think it will be a spec because, well, the vision was that we have a software that, you can access this information via API. That was our vision, is that companies would share their best estimates and we would have an API to access it. So if we get enough sharing and we implement an API, then we would need a spec for the API, if that makes any sense. A spec for the software package.
Got it. Okay, I'm gonna pull up. Oh, and there's Kevin right there. Hey, Kevin.
Good afternoon. How are you all?
Good.
Good.
Hello,
How are you
Kevin.
doing?
So we're just kind of getting started here. We're syncing on some other things, and then I just pulled up the link to that you gave me. I guess I got to sign in really quick though. Do that really quick.
And while you're signing in, actually, one very quick question while Kevin is here. Kevin had sort of helped me see where the Zoom recordings go, but I have not been receiving that automated email whenever there is a sustainability call. Do you folks receive an automated email for your Zoom recording when you run any one session of the workstream? Danny and Deb.
I wouldn't know where to go. Yeah, I don't think I've been getting anything in
I also don't receive that. It's been on my to follow up with Kevin list that I keep kicking the time frame down.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Okay.
I can actually add a bunch of you to that relay.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah, Kevin,
thanks.
actually what I'm trying to say is I think you added me, but I still don't receive anything.
Okay. Hold on, let me take a look.
Do that. Let me try to.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll try to do the sign in here. Let me try
All right, so let's see.
here.
First, I got to figure out which group we're in. This is sustainability power telemetry. Power. So that one is. Okay, that was not too bad. Sustainability. Yeah, so if I were to share my right now I'm showing that I'll put it in chat. This is the email address I'm currently showing is in that group. So it's one of the ocproject.net accounts for you. Is that, let me check and see if that's even the right address.
That's Shruti. Is that your? So I have to be honest, I never use my OCP email. I don't check it on the regular.
That's now what I would you could do is there's a way for me to do it at the admin level, but you could also go into the settings for the ocproject.email address and just set up a forward to go to your work address or something else like that.
Okay. I like
Yeah,
that idea.
I have a forward setup, so it all comes to my Microsoft email because yeah, I have the same problem, Deb. Otherwise, I forget to check.
Yeah, I thought I did that too. I'm over here trying to. Oh, yeah.
Shruti, is that the correct? That's what I'm showing as the message. Or that's what I'm showing that your email is correct. I'm showing that I've got the right email. And that is the one that's tied into that specific group. So you should be getting those. Let me check and see something else. See if I'm
But
getting.
are you sharing screen? Share screen is not coming in for
No,
me.
I'm not sharing anything right now
Okay.
because I'm going through my own emails and stuff. So, all right, telemetry.
Oh, okay.
So the last Zoom transcript recording I got from this group was November 30th.
This one here? Yeah,
Yeah.
that should be right. That's awesome.
That's about right, yeah.
Yeah, so last Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right date-wise. So I didn't receive anything on November 30th.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think I
Well,
did.
that's you'll need to check your actual, like spam and stuff like that, because if I got it, then it got sent out.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Can you, for reference, forward me that exact email that you got? So, maybe I'll search the exact subject or something.
Of course. It just comes in now. Mine's going to be a little different because it's actually sent specifically to me. Yours would end up being sent to. Actually, let me find that one real quick because there would be another one that I usually kill because I'm not. I get like 3 different versions of the same emails because I'm all the various aliases. All right, so go in here. Here it is. Okay. Admin. Okay, this is what everybody should have got. So let me forward this to most of you. That numbers.
Recording in progress.
Sorry about that. I switched devices.
Jeff, Deb. There you are.
And Kevin, can you add Sammy also, though, because they are the 3 workstream leads?
Sorry.
Can you also add Sammy? He's another workstream lead for sustainability. So
Can you throw his email real quick into chat or something? I think I know which one it is, but I want to make sure I get the right one.
I I have at hand his Intel email.
Yeah, because I may not have put his as actual Sammy. Hold on.
Oh, never mind. I have his OCP email also. One second. I'll put it here.
I think I just found it.
Okay.
But yeah, like a confirmation would be appreciated. After a okay. So I just sent the email to all of you, at least on this call. So that should give you something to search for when you're looking up that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But right now, Shruti is the only one on that. So and Daniel, you are too, but it's your Intel address.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not getting anything at that. I mean, I'm getting the regular agenda work group kind of like meetings coming, but not, I don't think anything's showing like the recordings.
Okay, because for the recording itself is not, it just comes through as from an email from Zoom, and it's just a link.
Okay.
So it kind of depends on what you're looking for.
But it just comes through Zoom, you're saying, huh? Okay.
Typically it comes directly from Zoom.
Okay, I'll look in my spam folders and stuff too. Okay. So
Let me add everybody else real quick.
Does it matter that my OCP email address is added and not my Microsoft email address while I'm checking in the Microsoft email? Like the forwarding should work even for these emails, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, anything that hits your OC project email address should be forwarded if you have forwarding set up.
Yeah, it works for everything else, I know. Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason it would work for one and not the other. Not unless you set up some kind of filter or rule that was causing it to be redirected in that manner.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything complex set up like that, but okay.
Yeah, I would be surprised if you did.
I'm just looking, and you're saying it would come, actually the from must be Zoom, huh? From Zoom.
Okay, now that's weird. But yes, they do come from Zoom.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything, but okay.
Did everyone receive the email I just sent?
Yeah, received it.
Not yet.
Not able to find anything with this subject title except your email.
Okay.
But okay. Okay, maybe you've added us. Let's see if the next cycle we are going to, or some of us receive the email. And then we can get back to Kevin accordingly.
Yeah. Okay.
Even on the side, if you can, maybe just, if you can add my direct Microsoft email address also, just in case there is something going on.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. So with that, I guess, should we go through this repository kind of ECAMs? I could, where's it at? I could share, I guess. I could share my screen. I just put the, well, let me put, I guess I should put the, you said we have this link here as the repository for this work group. So I just threw that up there, and then I guess I'll share my screen, and then I guess this will be the same thing that everybody does, right?
Yep.
So this should be.
So I did want to ask for GitHub, are we supposed to create an OCP?
That was my first question. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, do I sign in or yeah?
So that's one of those things that is purely your call. If you want to work, some people like all of their contributions or any pushes or pulls that they do to be under the same account. Me personally, I've got my own GitHub account that I've been using for years. And when I started with OCP, I created a brand new OCP specific GitHub account. So we don't have any specific direction that we're providing anybody. It's really your call. I mean, if you want to work it
Okay.
under yours, you can. If you want to set up a new one for OCP, you know, and you don't mind dealing with multiple accounts, then by all means, go for it.
Okay. And so you would do it just like this, and it would be, so we sign in, and then it'd be create an account. And then this would be like, use my OCP email here, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me double check I have that. And then this is just be, let me see here.
I think it should be your first. It should be your first name, period, last name at ocproject.net.
At OC Project, right? Got it. And then I forgot how to get out to that, but we can solve that sucker in a second. So we create an account and then create some kind of password.
Yeah.
And then continue. And then username can be anything.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, Kevin, are we creating one space for each work stream? Like separate space for each work stream?
Yeah, right now, well, yes and no. So if it's something that is going to actually have unique repositories or contributions, or even just its own wiki information, then yes, I'm spinning up a unique repository for the work stream or the sub project. Some work streams and stuff, though, are never going to actually put out any content, so to speak. So in that instance, they probably won't get a repository. And basically a wiki content would just be the only real notification that's really happening. So it depends. It depends on the need of the work stream or the sub project. If you tell me you need one, I'll create one, basically.
Okay, so I know Sammy is not here, but Danny, Deb, do you folks need a separate Git space for your work streams, or shall we have one for all of OCP sustainability work streams?
I think either way, it sounds like we already have this one though, right, Kevin? So
yeah, you have this one. This one is unique to Power Telemetry. If you were going to be putting out multiple types of contributions, then we would probably spin up variations of that. But right now, this is the repository for your main work group.
Okay. And
For
then
for this work stream, it is the repository for this work stream, right?
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. And then how do I stopped sharing a sec, but I go out to OCP opencompute.org to check the email as well, or is mine, because it doesn't seem to be forwarding.
No, you just go to Google, like go to gmail.com.
Okay.
And then you would put in your ocproject.net account and password, and then that'll let you in.
Got it. Okay, let me go to that real quick and just look, because I think I got a new account set up there.
I'll just add, I just went to look at mine and I have over there at my OCP email been getting notifications for the work stream that I lead that the recordings are available. So it's working it's working for somebody.
Well, Deb, I'm putting you on the sustainability group now. So that's why you hadn't been getting those. You weren't on the actual sustainability group. So
perhaps, but I was getting it for my sub work stream.
Perfect.
Maybe do you need to add my email address to each work stream separately? Is that when I would start receiving? Because I think you added me only the overall, and that's where I'm not receiving anything.
I mean, it kind of depends on what you mean. If you're talking about these specific Zoom things, then no, I put you're in the group itself. That's different than being part of Groups.io, because Groups.io is more of the public space where people can talk back and forth. The Zoom account, those groups are something I've got on kind of on the back end that I only add people who, like you all, who need to see these things. And I manage that. You know, most people can't just go in and add themselves to it. So that's the main difference there.
I'm sort of asking if there is a group for overall OCP sustainability, and that is where you added me, versus there are groups for receiving the notification for each work stream separately, and that's where Deb was added, and that's why she was receiving that work stream.
In this case, basically, I'm adding you to the sustainability Zoom group. So if any kind of any of the sustainability work streams conclude, you're going to get an email about that Zoom event, because I don't have enough accounts to make every work stream unique in that aspect. So it's
Okay.
in some cases, like there are some work streams that I have given like the project lead themselves a direct login to Zoom, and then I add them as a co-host to the room. That would give them a unique separate email for recordings and stuff like that. Sorry. But in this case, I'm just adding you to a group, which is kind of the shared area. So that's why, I can add multiple people to it.
Okay, I think maybe I cannot resolve it through this question then. I'll sort of set up something and see why I'm not getting a notification. I'll follow up with you, Kevin.
Well, I just now added both your, you were just your OC project before today. I just added your Microsoft. So I've now got, for Shruti, I've got your OC project in your Microsoft. For Jeff, I've got your HPE and your OC project. Deborah, I've got your OC project and your Intel. And Daniel, I've got your Intel and your OC project as well. So what should happen when we end this call about anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, because it depends on the processing time, everybody should get this email. It should come to your OC project and your work address the same, and you might even get a secondary if it relays, because you've got a bounce setup or a forwarding setup. So you might get it twice to your work address, depending on your setting. But this should confirm that everybody's getting them now going forward.
Okay, let's see at the end of this. So going back to GitHub, if this GitHub area is for all of sustainability, then can we name it just OCP sustainability instead of power telemetry?
Hold on a second, I'm sorry. All right, sorry about that. What was the question again?
So I was asking if this GitHub space that you've created, if this is for all of OCP sustainability, like this is the only GitHub space for our work streams, can we name it OCP sustainability instead of OCP sustainability power telemetry?
Well, so the Zoom room itself, here's the way of looking at it. The Zoom room itself is unique to you.
GitHub. Sorry, I know we're switching between Zoom and GitHub and causing you confusion.
Yeah, okay, so what do we, okay, and I apologize. I'm getting pulled a couple different directions. So what's the question? What do you want me to do? You want me to change the actual GitHub itself?
So if this GitHub is for all of OCP sustainability work streams?
No. GitHub is, so here, let me share my screen. I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Screen.
And we just need the free GitHub account, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
At some point, I might end up having to, if we need the paid version, we'll end up paying for it.
Right.
Okay. So this right now, this repository is purely for power telemetry.
Mm-hmm.
I can go to, and where is my other one? So this, whoops, sustainability. So if I go back to here, so see, you've got a sustainability top level, and then we've got your work stream power telemetry. They are separate and unique.
Okay.
So, and I have another work stream under sustainability. Should I have my own as well?
Which one was that?
It's the carbon modeling work stream.
Okay.
So I'll actually ask on behalf of all our work streams. There are two more work streams, DCEM and carbon modeling.
Yep. Okay, so carbon modeling, I just haven't gotten there yet. I will be setting up a unique carbon modeling repository I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
The same for life cycles and metrics life cycles.
Oh, I think DCEM is sort of getting tagged as metrics. No,
Perhaps.
no,
But
that is the older workstream name. That workstream is not functional right now, the where you see life cycles. We actually have a different workstream called DCEM. If you want, I can list it for you, but that's not the updated list.
that's fine. I mean,
That'd be
that's
helpful for
understandable.
us. Yeah, thank you. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Okay. So what's the next question?
So I guess let's see here. So I got, at least me, I got my GitHub account under the OCP email address. And I guess the question is, how do we just start? We're going to create a spec. So how do we just kind of like put in just get started with a document, a spec that we can, that's the main reason we want to go in and collaborate on here.
Right. So I would recommend to download and install the GitHub desktop application, which is what I'm showing on my screen right now. This is all it looks like. What you will do is you will basically, once you've got that installed and you're on the repository you want, in this case, Power Telemetry, I'll go to code and I'll basically just say open here with GitHub desktop. It's basically going to, come on, there we go. It's going to clone the repository to my local, my local drive.
Yep.
And then I can basically work on the files in my local drive. New file, text file, test. And then once I go back over and look here, this shows me that this file has changed and I can, commit it to main, push it, do whatever I need to do.
Got it.
So once you have the thing done, then that's when you can actually start modifying, making changes, adding files, and then pushing it back up, once you get those done.
Okay. And is there a baseline spec template that you recommend we start with?
This is why I brought Michael on. This is why I brought Michael.
Yes, there absolutely is. Kevin, since you're sharing your screen, would you mind just going to the contribution agreements page on the OCP website?
Right here.
Yep. So here folks, under the contribution guidance documents, that's all of our different spec templates. This is absolutely what we would recommend you guys start with. We have different templates for base specifications at OCP, design specs, product specs. Most likely, this would be coming in as a monolithic spec, which would be that first bullet point, the 2022. So yeah, I encourage you guys to make a copy and start there. Yeah, Kevin, you'll pull that up. This really just walks through everything that we're looking for, given the spec category. A monolithic spec kind of encompasses all the other spec templates. But if this is something that's more simple, such as a base spec, it will actually require less information. But a lot of the work here has been done. We just need you to fill in the information into this template.
And you're saying use this for a base spec as well?
So for a base spec, we have a different template. Yeah, Kevin, just go back. That's the second bullet point. If you'll click on that, Kevin, that has some of the information that is in the monolithic, but a little bit less rigid requirements. Base specs at OCP are traditionally more IP light and don't really drill down quite as much as, say, a design spec might, or even a product spec.
Okay.
So what I could do is I could basically, so save link as, it's going to go into my downloads. I'm going to call this, actually, I'll just leave that as that. And then I'll put that here. So what I've done is just by putting that folder or that file in your folder, I could commit this and push this. And basically it would show up right here along with the license and the README. And then you could pull it down, rename it, push it back up, pull it down again, make any changes you want, push it back up. And that way you get versioning and the file stays, here in your repository.
Okay. And we usually edit, like literally edit the PDF itself, or do we work like on some other?
Actually, is that what this opens? I think this, if you
Yeah.
click instead of this is the PDF. The copy here at the end is actually a Google Doc.
Google
It'll make
Doc,
a
okay.
version of it.
Got it.
And that's what you can work through.
Okay. And then how do we, like you said, so copy to local director? I guess first, actually, you're saying to install the desktop application for Git. Is that just on, where do we grab that? Oh, install GitHub desktop. I just found it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it. Download for Windows, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
And then, yeah, then there's plenty of YouTube videos for the, how to use and the basics of using Git if you're not familiar with Git and GitHub as a workflow.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I've done a little bit on it here and there. Okay. And then, and like you said, either way, it sounds like base, since our spec is going to be, pretty simple. You recommend probably base spec so far as like kind of your simplest standard OCP spec.
Correct. Yeah. And what we can do, Danny, is as you guys start to, put together a decent draft, myself, Rob Coyle, Kevin, we can all take a look at it. And if, something additional needs to be added, we can do it at that point. But I don't want you guys to burn any unnecessary calories on this. So why don't we start with the base spec?
Okay.
Yeah, I think base spec is appropriate for us, Danny.
Oh, wait, and this is, okay. So what I'll need now is I will need to add, I'll need to add you all here to the team.
Okay.
For that repository. So just let me know what email account you have associated with your GitHub account. And then I can add that here as a member, and then you will be able to push and pull and do the things you need in the repository itself. Like right now you could pull, you could pull a copy, but you couldn't push because you're not a member.
Got it.
So everything we do is world readable?
At the moment. I can make it private if you want, but at the moment this is an open public repository.
And is that,
sorry, can Microsoft train all of their large language models off of any work that we do here? And then,
that's
not a random question.
It's not, to an extent, yes, because but that's true no matter what repository we put it into, if it was public. Yeah. So if you want it to be private, we absolutely could make it a private repository.
But we also need to conform with what we've established the work group as, right? Because didn't we establish this as an open work group as well?
Yeah.
What does OCP normally do?
Most everything is open unless it falls under a CLA.
Right.
Yeah, and so I don't know, Devin, unless you have any specific concerns. I don't think we're thus far. I can't think of any IP from any of the contributing companies that we're putting into this. And that would be that was kind of even back when we were talking about, is this an open work group or more of a closed one? That was the dividing line for me. And I couldn't think of anything specific. Now, that could maybe change as we start going to things like the APIs and more of the, long-term kind of phases that we've talked about. Okay. But as for this first version, but I wanted to ask if anybody feels differently.
So the one thing that I will mention, folks, is, as we get closer to contribution, everyone who has contributed to the document will need to sign a CLA, our contribution license agreement. If there are concerns, we could go ahead and sign those agreements now and close things off to only those organizations that have signed. Those are the two routes that we could take.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, we keep it open, and 2 months from now we go to ChatGPT and say, talk to me about power telemetry from servers, and it basically spits out our whole spec, to anybody. So I'm just highlighting that that's what's going to start happening.
I
It's
mean, that
already
in a lot of
happening.
ways, that's already happening. I mean,
I
they
agree.
scraped the majority of the internet, and and they started taking GitHub into account when they were doing that sort of stuff. So, I mean, that's really already starting to play out. And
Okay,
they're
I'm
also,
just making
you're,
sure everybody's comfortable with it, just so
yeah.
that we know, right?
Um,
So I would say in my other work stream, I'm definitely starting to get into an area that I will not put it in GitHub.
Now we can have both if necessary. Right now we've got, like I said, we've got this as its own public repository. We can create a secondary repository that is private, so you have the public stuff and then the private stuff as well. So if you need that variation or you need that extra functionality, just let me know and we'll set it up.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we went a couple minutes over. I know I have to drop. I think this is enough to get started. So I
Definitely.
sent you a note, Kevin, just noting like, yeah, it's my OCP email address. I guess you're recommending we all do the same so that you could populate those permissions?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I think that's the next step for everybody. And then I'll bring over a copy, and as I get going, bring over a copy and just start putting it, and I'll probably shoot everybody an email just so we can kind of just start testing it, touching it, making sure it all works.
Sounds good. Just let me know if there's anything you need otherwise.
Kevin, if you just want to add mine, it's my ID. It's just J Otter.
Yeah, hold on just a second and I'll add you. I'm logging in right now. I just have to authenticate.
Yeah, we can even do it now. People are able to stay on and it's easier.
Yeah, no, I have time now. If you have your ID, go ahead and throw it at me and I'll get you tagged in. I need to do this. Michael, I think we're good. I appreciate your help and time with today.
Absolutely.
Yes, ditto.
So, looking forward to chatting more soon, and thanks for all the hard work in advance.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Is users
Oh, it's in chat. There we go.
manage seats. There we go. So I need to add 4 new seats. We'll add 5 new seats just in case. Cool. All right. So now, Daniel. All right. Danny, you should get an email right now. Who's the next one? What do you, Jeff, what's yours?
I put in the chat. It's just J Otter, JAUTR.
Got it.
I put mine in the chat too.
I don't see yours in chat.
Oh, I put my email address in chat. Should I just put the user?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff put his in Q&A.
Well, I put it in both because I didn't see. I couldn't find the chat. It's buried in this.
It is
We're in
buried.
webinar mode or something. That's weird. It was.
Yeah.
That's not very nice. All right. I got 3 of you. Who's the so Daniel, Shruti, Jeff. All right, so I think I got 3 of you. Deb, do you have one you want to add?
I'm going to take a pass. I'm still contemplating which GitHub account I want to associate with OCP.
No problem. I totally
if
understand.
I'm making a new one. So, and I think for this group, I'll be less creating content than I would be in another group. So.
Yeah, I mean, you really only need the account if you want to push. If you just want to look at stuff, then you can look at that anytime because it is public.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Perfect. Wow. That was helpful. All right.
Just let me know if you need anything else. I hope you all have a good rest of your week.
Will do.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Kevin.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.